Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. This morning, in reading in Proverbs chapter 20, I read in verse 14 this. It's worthless. It's worthless, the buyer says. But after he's on his way, he gloats. I grew up and was taught by my family of origin how to barter and barter well, how to get the best deal, how to evaluate and make offers on things so that you could have an abundance without spending an abundance, right? In other words, I was trained well on how to pare somebody down in a way that made me much better off and them less better off than they should have been, right? To go in and look at something somebody had and they had a fair dollar amount on it at a garage sale or a flea market or something like that, and then point out all the things that were wrong with it so that I could get it at a better price, and then leave. And often we would talk about how that person had no idea what they had, and even though the things that I pointed out were correct, that it was still far better than what they even thought, and the price that they had been asking was fair. Now, there were times where I was being truthful, but more often than not, I was pointing things out that were cosmetic, that had nothing to do with things. And the problem was, I knew they didn't know what they had. Because often I'd walk up and I'd start asking questions that were leading so that I could find out whether they understood what they had or not. And if they didn't, then I was able to work the magic, right? Solomon tells his son and warns his son about this. It's worthless, the buyer says, but after he is on his way, he gloats. You can't do that if somebody knows what they have, if they know what's in front of them and they know what it's worth. And the reality is, you and I, we get sucked into these scams all the time by our adversaries. Instead of listening and hearing what Jesus says about you and your value and your worth and what you are, instead of knowing what you've got in front of you, you allow it to be nothing. Instead of being the person who says, well, I don't understand how to use all of this right now, but Jesus says that I'm lovable, that I'm worth loving, that I have value, and that I have something of value for others. We allow ourselves to think, well, I have no idea how this works, so there's no value in it for me, so I'm going to let somebody convince me that I might as well give up. If that happens, it's as much your fault as it is the buyer's. And by the way, the buyer walks away gloating, thinking he got one over on you. And he did. It's our responsibility to know who we are and what we're doing and all of that. And so it's really important today when we read verses like this. It's worthless, the buyer says. But after he is on his way, he gloats. To recognize, you need to know your value. You don't need to know how to use it yet, but you need to know the value. If you have a silver spoon on a table, you may have no use for that silver spoon at all, but you've weighed it and it's 1 troy ounce. Don't sell it for 10 cents because it's tarnished, because it's an ounce of silver and it's worth at least that. Those are the things that you need to recognize in your own life. You have value. Don't let the buyer come and pare you down. I love y'all. I hope you have a great day. God bless.